The packet glided across the mahogany surface without making a sound, just like a sharp edge resting on flesh. I recall how the flickering light swayed when her father's cuff moved through the air. I remember the intensity of the chamber closing in on us. White linens, expensive glassware, the quiet arrogance of individuals who believe wealth is identical to influence, and then that packet stopped right in front of me, its border perfectly aligned with my plate, as if this public shaming had been choreographed. No one spoke. That was the boundary. They had selected a dining establishment that displayed its riches, like a high-end suit, dim lighting, focused silence, and chairs that whispered when you sat. My wife Mary squeezed my hand under the table. She was proud, yet anxious. She wanted them to recognize what she saw in me, a decent man, a simple man, someone who repaired his own timepiece and never grumbled about flying coach. Her mother smiled the way people do when they are finished pretending. Her father didn't smile at all. He observed me like a low-value item that didn't belong on a corporate balance sheet. The server poured a vintage I didn't even taste. I watched the droplets cling to the crystal and slide down. Gravity always reveals the truth. They asked polite questions with hidden stings. What do you do with your time? Are you truly content living this way? Mary answered for me sometimes, attempting to dull the impact I let. Her, I always allow people to underestimate my worth. It's a gift. You provide them only once. Then came the sweets. Then came the packet. Her father cleared his throat, the sound of a man prepared to fix an error. He pushed the packet forward and rested 2 fingers on it, claiming control of the moment. This is for you, he remarked, to help you get started. I felt Mary stiffen. Confusion surfaced first, then shame, and finally the slow heat of fury. She didn't yet know where to direct it. I didn't open the folder I didn't need to. I recognized the thickness by touch. A check, not generous enough to be kind, just enough to be a slap in the face. The silence lingered. Her mother watched me like she was anticipating a trick, or perhaps gratitude or total submission. I smiled. "Thank you," I said. My voice remained steady. "That is very considerate of you." The relief on their faces revealed everything they needed to know. They believed. They had put me in my place. Inside, something went quiet. I had cared for them. Once not deeply, but honestly. I believed respect could be built over time. I believed consistency was vital. I believed that if I showed up, if I protected their daughter, and if I constructed an honest life, the rest would align. That belief vanished with that packet. It wasn't about the currency. It was the assumption, the judgment delivered without a fair hearing. The way they diminished me in front of Mary, confident. I wouldn't feel the blade because it was wrapped in manners. I folded the packet and placed it in my blazer. I looked into Mary's eyes and gave her a slight nod. Not now, later. On the drive back to our residence, she apologized for their behavior. She claimed they didn't intend it that way. She said they were traditional, and that she would speak with them. I told her it was fine. That was the final lie I told her. I became quiet after that, not cold, but focused. Silence is where strategies begin to breathe. I had spent over a decade constructing a financial standing no one could trace back to me. Layered corporations, private trusts, and a signature that never appeared the same way twice. I held 10 billion in shares, accumulated steadily and secretly in her father's firm. The one he spoke about like a kingdom passed down by heritage alone. I knew every flaw, every debt hidden away, and every legal corner cut to save costs. I knew who he owed favors to, and who was tired of waiting for payment. I didn't hurry. Rushing is how people become careless. I let that packet sit on my workstation for weeks, sealed, a reminder and a vow. Then I began pulling the strings. A vote here, a withheld. Support there, and a sudden change in market confidence. Nothing too loud, just enough to make experts ask questions they hadn't considered before the stock value dipped. Her father blamed the economy. He always blamed. Something external. It kept his hands clean. I kept moving forward. I removed support he didn't even realize he possessed. I delayed funding at the exact moments when cash flow mattered most. I encouraged rivals to gather around, not to strike, just to stay close. Predators don't need to bite when fear handles the work. The board of directors became agitated. Senior staff started updating their resumes. A government official requested documents that should have been simple to provide but weren't. At a dinner weeks later, her parents were different. Their smiles were strained and their laughter was forced. They asked me about my career again. Suddenly showing interest, I answered, calmly and simply. I watched sweat form on her father's brow under the soft lights. He never suspected me. Why would he? Power rarely looks for danger below its own level. The total collapse took about 3 months. Credit lines were cut. A major deal fell apart when the funding vanished overnight. A whistleblower, someone I had helped years ago without him ever knowing, found his voice at the perfect time. The stock crashed. I attended meetings I was never officially invited to and listened to calls I wasn't supposed to be on. I knew when he stopped sleeping and when his voice broke behind closed doors. Mary felt the tension too, though she didn't fully grasp the cause. Stress altered her parents' personalities. The way her father snapped, and the way her mother stopped hosting parties. One evening she asked me if I knew what was happening. I finally told her the truth. I believe they are about to learn a lesson. The final confrontation wasn't cinematic. It didn't need to be. Her father requested a private discussion in a neutral office with glass walls, the kind of space designed to make everyone feel equal while power does its work. He looked smaller and older. His hands shook as he poured water. I don't know who you are, he said, picking his words with care, but I know you are behind this. I smiled just a little. I met you once, I stated over a meal. I saw his confusion turn into memory. The packet, his face losing all color. I slid it back across the table, unopened and clean. I never required this, I said. I required respect. He attempted to speak, to negotiate, and to apologize in the way powerful men do, strategically and with conditions. I let him finish. Then I told him exactly how much of the company I owned, how long I had controlled it, and how easily I could finish what I started or stop the bleeding. The silence this time was heavy and final. I didn't take everything from him. That would have been excessive. I took enough to remove him from his position, enough to restructure the corporation, and enough to ensure he would never mistake wealth for true authority again. When we walked out of the building, Mary asked me who I really was. I told her I was the same man I had always been. I just stopped acting like I deserved less. She wept, not because I had been dishonest, but because she finally understood the burden I had been carrying in silence. Her parents never said sorry. They didn't have to. Consequences speak a language that pride understands. I still live a simple life. I still fix my own watch and I still fly coach. But when a packet slides across a desk, now it's usually a resignation letter, and I always make sure to open it.